The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey guys, give me 1 second here. I'm having some pretty major technical issues here with monitors. Give me one. Hang on. Alright, well, I'm not going to be able to get it. I'm not sure what's going on. So, I'm somewhat crippled. I'm broadcasting not from a monitor that I normally do, so I'm a little awkward with it. And Ink2Go is hiding on a monitor that is now black. And so I'm just... And I can't find my blue blockers, and my eyes are bothering me. Here we go. But I am happy to be here because it's Monday. Yeah. 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 So I don't know. I replaced a monitor over the weekend, and there's so much weird random stuff going on. I can't diagnose it. I've Googled the hell out of it, and I can't figure out the problem. But I'm kind of like major crippled. I gotta find some geek to come here because I can't take my array in and have everybody figure it out. So good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Yeah, Clay's a little too far away, but I'll give him a call. Yeah, so maybe Tuesday, huh? Yeah. 'Cause I was, look, I've told you all the story about my dad, and when I used to go over and see him in the early mornings, mid-morning sometimes, and he'd be sitting there drinking his coffee, reading the paper. I'd always catch him then, and, hey, Dad, hey, wouldn't even move the paper. And then it was always the, hey, how are you? And he'd drop the paper down enough to see over the top of it, had his reading glasses down on his nose, and he'd say, well, I just finished reading the obituaries and I didn't see my name, so it's a great day. And so I think any day that we don't see our name in the obituaries, it's a great day. Yeah, on the right side of the grass. the the non-worm side. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, because Mark, I know you're a techie. So here's what it is. So I've got a computer that's driving a USB hub. On that hub, I have 4 USB monitor port connections. 4 monitors run great, perfect, no problems. I have a HDMI out, which I run onto a big monitor. No problems. So that particular laptop is actually driving 5 external monitors, 4 off the USB hub port, 4 off the USB hub, and then 1 off the HDMI. And that's HDMI to HDMI. No problems, no problems, no problems. I replaced the HDMI monitor over the weekend, and it's like 2 inches bigger, whatever. And it's just a bear. It's not an adapter, it's the internal. Yeah, size matters. No, because it drove the other monitor. And it drives this monitor. The monitor's lit up now. It's only when I take a browser and make the browser full screen instead of 3/4 screen. When it goes full screen, the monitor goes black. Yeah, it does have more pixels. I've taken Microsoft's recommended settings because it's higher resolution. But I've done everything I could. I've turned off the accelerator on the hardware. I just don't know. I can make it match the other resolution of the other monitors because that's an option. That doesn't work. Anyway, I'm not going to bog down the group with technical questions, but it's just I've exhausted everything I've read up on why a monitor would go black. And it's always, they're always talking about things like the card. It has to be something with the resolution, but I don't understand why it paints just fine and I can have a browser 98% of the way open, but when I go to 100%, the monitor goes black. Yeah, but when I drop it down to the same resolution, anyway, it's beyond me, but it's just very frustrating because it kind of kills the way I do everything. So anyway, let me ask this. Just give me a simple, let me see, I'm looking at the count here. All right, so let me delete all this. I gotta keep this manageable. Bear with me. Yeah, that's what I'm going to end up doing today. I just don't have any time. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna put one of the USBs well, the first thing I do is put the DVI to one of the other monitors, or the HDMI, excuse me, to one of the other monitors. See, I have no impact on the other monitors. The 4 on the USB port are running just fine no matter what I do. They're kind of great. It's got the latest drivers. And again, it's an interesting point. It lights up. It just won't allow the browser to go to full screen. And if the browser, and a lot of times you move browsers over or whatever, and they automatically go to full screen. So then the monitor goes black. And then I'm in a it's just worse. So it's driving the monitor. It's just only when I open a browser full screen. Y'all are good. Y'all are good. So let me ask this, just as a point of reference, because I need to know where we are. How many of you, and some honest feedback here, how many of you listen to and give me a yes or no. If you didn't do it, if the answer is no, I still need you to type in the no. Don't just ignore it. So the question is, did you or did you not? Let me phrase it that way. Did you or did you not listen to the Mindset Mastery podcast this weekend? Yes, no. Hold on. Everybody stop. Everybody stop for a second. Now I've got another issue. Somebody say start here. I gotta see something. Okay, thanks, Mackenzie. That's good. All right, now let me ask the question again. Did you or did you not listen to the Mindset Mastery podcast over the weekend? Okay. So I realize it was the weekend. And so, but here's the thing. There's too many no's. Appreciate your honesty, but there's too many no's. And so, I just, what's wrong with me now? I just want to say, it's the Mindset Mastery is, I'm trying to get away from putting tons of mindset stuff into the technical calls and kind of bottling it all up and putting it into one session. And the goal is to have it before the weekend, not do it on the weekend. I kind of, did a half and half. I finished up what I wanted to do Friday night, and I did it way early Saturday morning. And, but, the head game's the big part, guys. And, especially for a lot of you that are inconsistent or struggling a little, that particular session I think is really important. And make it your priority. I mean, head game stuff for self-development is important in general, but head game stuff that, and I know so far a lot of the Traders Mindset Mastery has been bigger picture, focusing down. This week it was bigger picture, but focused down to trading. still in a macro way. But it may open some people's eyes. It may help you frame things and turn the real world unreal and turn the unreal world real, which can be game changers sometimes. And it'll help you frame your progress with your trading. So, I will. Yeah, it is. It is a kind of gratitude. You can do graphimations for it, but at the same time, I think it helps reframe it, and definitely you want to put some gratitude towards it. It's all about just how we frame things. And, I guess somebody could say, we spent an hour and 20 minutes to essentially tell me the glass is half full or half empty. And that would probably be a somewhat accurate representation. But I do go through some real life examples, and hopefully they added to the punchline and not just made it drag out. But I use those examples for a reason, and hopefully they carry some weight in one's interpretation of what was said and the conclusion. Okay, so anyway, come on, Steve, it's been 20 minutes and you haven't got to the technical stuff yet. Oh, my Lord. So that's a kind of inside joke for somebody that was at a particular IML TV session about 6 months ago. And I was intervening with a little head game stuff, and somebody came into the room and was like, Jesus, this guy's a joke. He's a clown. Can you get to the technical stuff? Yeah, you're a joke. I guess I am. I don't know. The other thing, got plans for a little ditty here. Let's see where I am. Man, this just stinks. Okay. So we're going to have a little tiny thing that, an indicator that will let you open up your TradingView charts, and on a given chart, like in this case, the USD CAD 15-minute, I could just pop open that indicator and populate it with numbers that I read right off this chart, and it'll be a lazy man's way, or an easy way to get the forexharmonicpatterns.com scanner support and resistance lines on your charts, because they're good for other things. Now, one of the things I'm a little bit crippled with this morning is my ink to go is sitting on my black monitor and I can't retrieve it, because even if I shut it down, it comes back up on that monitor. So I don't have my ink to go today because of that. Sorry. So yes, there is a version of the scanner being looked at with TAB29 on it. But it's a challenge, because, in TradingView, the indicators are written in something called Pine Script. It's it's TradingView's programming language. And you can manipulate the charts pretty much because you're using, TradingView's programming language. But to get it on this thing as the scanner product, it has to be translated and ported to Python. And I'm not fully aware of the limitations in the parameters of Python. But we are looking at it, and if it can be done, it'll probably be done. No, they do not offer a second license at this time. That's something I've talked to Try about. But let me, I don't know. Does my mouse show up on your screens? Can you all see my mouse? I'm looking at my actual repeat monitor, and it's small enough of a window that I can't see it. But okay, you can. All right. So, if you notice on this particular set of support and resistance, it's using the XA. And come on, eyes. That's because it was the high and the low on Friday, I assume. And so, they've got their little cute formula for working this out. I don't know what they're using. If anybody knows, I haven't researched it, but if anybody knows, let me know what they're using. It's a range-based formula of some sort. But anyway, it's per chart, so it's not a universal obvious. But you can look at this, and what I want you to see, let me come in here a little bit, is a couple of things that are interesting with it in terms of what's happened since. And you'll see things like this nice bounce right here, which is really cool. You'll see it break it at this point, and then you've got the series of candles where that particular support and resistance line serves as resistance. You've got it bouncing off this line. I don't believe these lines are created at that point because it is a range-based system, and this is already into the 18th, whereas this is with the 15th. So it looks like it bounced right off that. It bounced right off that. It bounced right off that as a pass and check. Served as support. So lots of interaction with that. Yeah, trend lines, of course, a true double top, double bottom for sure. But I'm particularly interested in the blue lines. I don't, while that information is there, it's just, yeah, my RAS is not working with it. The SNR lines are very accurate. I mean, again, I'm not, yeah, the AB retracement is at C. And that's at 38.2. Right on. Yeah. Oh. You get too many patterns on there for me. So anyway, it would be a handy tool, and we'll if we don't blow up everybody's computer, we'll probably just bury it in the INS and, call it scanner S&R or something like that. And then it'll just have 5, 6, whatever, maybe we'll make room for about 7 or 8, and you just populate whatever numbers you want, default it to blue. And so all you have to do is look at your scanner, type the numbers in that indicator, just like you would for coordinates, but it's just going to be, just field after field after field. Now you can do that with lines, but then you have to click on the line, find the coordinates, put the coordinate in, let it go to that point, color it blue, duplicate it, move it down, get the core, so this would just be a fast way of doing it. Just the same way we did the 5 Bollinger Band for those that were using that. But this way we can at least copy a scan and then instantly get the same support and resistance lines on your TradingView charts. So that'll be pretty cool. So one of the other things, so let me ask this too, just because I want to get a sense for where you guys are and what tools you use and don't use, and it's, there's no right or wrong. I'm just surveying because I want to see where my energies need to go. How many of you guys, and I'll use the word routinely, and so I know that's a subjective word, and so you have to put your own subjective orientation on it. But how many of you routinely are watching Disruptive Traders TV? Yes, no. Okay, so doesn't matter whether it's live or recording, but thanks for adding the additional information. Yeah, so it's every Monday and Wednesday at 1700 Eastern. It is recorded, and like these OCRs, I generally get it up about a couple hours afterwards. The GoToWebinar has to convert it, and then I got to upload it on YouTube, and so sometimes the conversion will be done and I forget to upload it. Sometimes I forget to do the conversion. I got to come back and do that first, and then I forget to upload it. So it's always typically going to be within 12 hours, but usually I try and get it same day. Doesn't always work, but so it's just extra. It's extra training, more focused on pitchforks, Charlie Delta pitchforks, and scans. But it's just reinforcement, and it's one of those things. Maybe you for those sessions, because they are additional on top of TAB29, maybe you just have it running while you're doing something else on your computer, and if you see something or hear something that's interesting, you can always stop it and rewind or whatever. But the people that have been going have been giving me favorable feedback to them, so it's a way of getting ahead. I'm going to create a temporary TAB29 group, and for maybe 30 days of use, and it's going to be for nothing more than trader ideas for TAB29, because we're working on some additions, and we're probably going to skip right past TAB29 2.0, which I said was almost ready, and just go with TAB29 3.0, but we'll call it 2.0. It's because right when we're wrapping it up, we had a few more brainiac ideas, and the other thing that happens is TradingView just they don't tell you what they're working on. They just boom, it's in the charts. And some of the stuff they boom put into the charts we can use, and so we're going to take advantage of that and make the apps a little cleaner and a little better. So that's going to be dependent on the questions you guys come up with, the ideas you guys come up with, and whatnot. And, do we have the time and the inclination to do that? Is it going to stretch it out much longer? Or do we just freeze it where it is and then set the next set of ideas and call that 3.0 and then, work on that? Yeah, can we put AI into it? Do you ever hear from ProCharts? I mean, I can't. I have Shredder FX multi-wave traders who, I know this is going to sound weird to you that are with TAB29, by the dozens that never moved to TAB29 and are still on IntelliCharts. Yeah, it's, look, it may be antiquated, but it's not obsolete. It still does what it did at the time. Okay, Tony, no problem. And, but, so yeah, and some of those people go way back. I've had people who have had an IntelliChart subscription for 9.5 years, and they've not missed a payment, and they still pay it today. I mean, personally, even if you just wanted to trade multi-wave, I would migrate to TradingView because it's so much less expensive. One of the reasons why I went there, so it'd be less expensive for the traders. But if somebody wants to keep paying a higher price tag and stay with IntelliCharts, they know them. Old dog, new tricks, right? I mean, the biggest advantage of the next release of TAB29 will be that it does have, a consideration for volume built into the plots. And therefore, at volatile times, the plots are a little tiny, just a wee bit different. But it makes it more accurate. Oh, yeah. Well, Mark was Mr. Motive Wave for the, and I say that in a complimentary way. I don't hope it doesn't sound derogatory, Mark. But Mark was Mr. Motive Wave, and I remember transitioning. I was like, I still had shackles on my feet to IntelliCharts. There will be no upgrade. Once you buy TAB29, you got it. So there will be no cost to move to 3.0 or 2.0. Yeah, no. People that have been here long enough, I'm not going to do that. We're spending a lot of time on it, we'll continue to spend more time on it, but it's just to make it a better product. Remember, here's the thing. A lot of the times, some of the stuff I want to see changed in TAB29 because I trade it and I see things that could be slightly better. Y'all want to hear something creepy? I'm just in that kind of mood today, and I know I apologize for those of you who are up in the middle of your night and whatnot. I'm just my head is a little just out of sorts because this computer situation is just driving me nuts, and I've spent so much time on it. And I kind of thought I had it licked last night, and I find out this morning I don't. Well, I didn't get a lot of yeses, so I guess I won't. All right. So anyway, tab. McKenzie. There are legitimate spas that do legitimate massages, just so you know. They are not all creepy. Yes, Aaron. Aaron hit it. So, many of you know one of my reasons for moving back to the East Coast is, my daughter Courtney is here. And so, about a month ago, she said, you've got to see this. So she showed me a video from her phone that was the recording of the baby monitor TV or whatever you call them, and there's an orb in the room, and nothing straight line, just a lot of loops and zigzags and stuff like that. Of course, baby daddy thinks, oh, that was a car passing by and, the light was just moving around the room. But where this orb was, unless the car was, like flying, above the house, in other words, the orb was from the ceiling area all the way down to the floor area, right? So now about 6 inches round, just flying all around. And so that kind of creeped her out. And so we met up Friday. Friday. And so she's had several more incidents. And she's got 2 sets of cameras. She's got one in Parker's room upstairs, and then she's got a general one that I got her a couple years ago for downstairs, which is really cool. You control it from your phone. You can move it. You can talk through it. It has a speaker. You can listen through it as the camera as a microphone, but you can move it around the room in any direction from your phone. It's pretty cool, and see it remotely. So she's had more incidents, and that one is even worse because the only window that gives access there goes to her backyard fence and to houses, and then there's a big canal, and then across the canal there's fences, and then the houses. No roads, because those houses, it would have to be a road in front of those houses, and so there's just no way for any kind of light to come in and be moving around on the floor from, as a reflection. And then not only that, it would have to move in straight lines if it was something like that. These things are moving all around, and this time there were 2, and they were circling each other. But she's freaked out because it's only around his possessions, and so she's read some stuff about that, and it's creeping her out, and she's very worried. And the other thing is, every time she sees them, it's after she hears creaking in the floors. So she hears the creaking. Nobody else in the house, like Ashley was away and on business trip, and she hears creaking, and then the orbs appear, and so it's kind of really. And the house is brand new. She bought it new. She moved into it a year ago, October 1st, September 29th, whatever. And let me tell you how creeped out she was. She she went to a Catholic church and got some holy water. Yanks and UFOs. It could be a spirit. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I have my, I just go weird like that because she is not the paranormal type, and this just has her very upset because, again, there's a lot of stuff if you read about orbs and children, and the only place that she's seen these orbs are circling around his toys, his possessions, his area of the room, that kind of stuff. And she has had one situation where she was in the room and the baby monitor picked it up. She went to the room and didn't see it, and she started filming, and they showed up on her phone, but she didn't see them while she was standing right there. Yeah, that's her concern, Luke. Anyway, it's just weird. So I keep checking in on her like every couple hours, just because I'm weird and concerned about her. Um, and she, like I said, she's not one to be. She would laugh it off more than anything else. But this last round, where she saw them on the monitor downstairs, and they were circling around each other, all over the room, and then that binary, relationship was moving as an entity, zigzagging and going up and down, and but all around his toys. He has a little kitchen thing and a little truck thing, and they were going all around that, and yeah, it's some form of energy. Dallas and I want to go over and kind of like do a, what do they call those? Um, yeah, an EVP. They're she hears the creaking in the floors, and then she looks at the monitors, and then she sees them. And then the one in her baby room, the most recent one, she saw it on the baby monitor. She ran to the room because Parker was still in the room. And when she ran into the room, he was standing up in his crib, holding on to the side of the crib. And he never does that. If he wakes up and he wants to get up, he'll just fuss, and she'll hear that. But yeah, there you go, Gregor Ghost Hunter TV. She's got a built-in babysitter. So anyway, she went to the church and I guess found like the church secretary or whatever. And now it gets even silly. Well, excuse me, I shouldn't say that, but just how I see it, okay? And I don't mean to editorialize it, but to me, because I grew up, my mom was Catholic. Um, holy water was holy water. Well, now there's varieties of holy water, and you know, they'll the variety comes in by what saint is on the bottle. Yeah, I asked her about that, and alls they know, it was built on a an old farmland. No Civil War battle kind of thing, or no Indian reservation kind of thing, as far as they know. And yeah, it's commercialized holy water. But anyway, so the church, whatever she was, the church lady. I don't know. Some of you are too old for church lady. But anyway, the church lady, yes, Dana Carvey. Thank you, Chris. Somebody might have gotten it. A church has to pay off the lawsuits. Oh my God. Yes, true. Anyway, she asked if she wanted to have the priest come out and, to do the exorcism kind of stuff. And Courtney was like, no, not yet. Anyway, I'm Dallas and I want to go, and I want to see it. Yeah, that's extra. I'm not doubting anything. I mean, I'll let you know what if it continues, but like I said, it takes a lot to spook Courtney. She's a pretty strong person, but creaking noises like somebody's walking around the house and then seeing orbs is just maybe too much for her right now. Clay, I can't say anything more about the trade management software other than what I posted. So for those that were watching that, it does absolutely sound like, based on the description that the creator said, and I know the way his mind thinks, and he's got, very innovative ways of taking a drawdown and eliminating the drawdown by micro trades to just eat into it and eat into it and eat into it using intelligent hedging and non-hedging, just additional buys or sells. And in this particular case, the apparent AI, although he didn't outright said it was AI, but he's likening it to other stuff he's created. The apparent AI in it will also look for premium opportunities and other pairs that will that are just such high percentage that he'll go outside of the pair the drawdown is to take a trade in and out to again just eat away and eat away and eat away at the drawdown. And if for those of you that have his other software, you've seen that process, so you know what it does, but this is even supposedly a better way of doing it. And considering the stuff he's put out so far, when he says the cool thing about this software is it's my proudest moment, and you're getting that from a 20-year massive hedge fund trader who has created cool software so far, and he's labeling this his best thing. And it's not a sales process because he's going to give it away. It's free. So yeah, so that's the idea, Tim, is that because we specifically asked him Saturday if it would be limited to Hamilton and Benjamin, and he said no. So any trade that was in drawdown. So if you're a TAB29 trader and you are, let's say you trade what? Who is that?
That's your account. It's a glitch. Look. Look. That's your account. It's just a glitch from Trader's Way. I just showed that to you to get you a heart attack.
Will it go back and show that?
No, it...
Jesus, Dallas. He's showing me a $500 account that's currently $66,000 in drawdown. At least the one screen had it at that. But that's the same broker that had lots of people with 200 million 10 days ago in their accounts, and some of them tried to withdraw it, move it to Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, you can go to the other screens and everything's fine. Anyway, that was the first. He said, "Well, you see something funny," and I'm like, "What's that?" Because I thought he saw it something on Facebook. He goes, "No, that's your account." I'm like, "Thanks." Yeah, me too, Maria. CoinX. Anyway, so so it's like, Dallas, I don't need that on my Monday so far. I'm about to throw this stuff through the screen, through the window as it is. And he's showing me account with minus $66,000. Anyway, so I hope you took a screenshot of that. Anyway, so yeah, the those of you on trading your TAB29 on MT4, and you have a convergence that looks really good, a multi-time frame convergence. Of course, while there are strong reversals, they can also slide. And so if you get into that situation where you enter the trade and it's going to be like a T4, it just drops on you instantly because it wants to go a little level, lowers level instead of, -5 or whatever. Let it go on down to the next level, and within reason, you got to do your own thing as far as maximum stops you want to use and whatnot. But once this thing proves itself in demo accounts, then I would just keep, hitting the convergences And so what, on minus 10, minus 12 at the next convergence level, and let the software earn it all back instead of eating the minus 5. So if it proves itself in demo account, yeah, exactly, Josh. So if it proves itself in demo account, then, that would be something that one could use. And he's pretty hot on it right now. And like I said, if it was some product they were going to go out and sell, then I could get hype. But he's not a hyper. He's pretty real. He tells you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so if he's very excited about it by what it's done so far, so now he's got it out. So he's beta tested it. Now he's got it out in the field being beta tested. So we'll see. Look, if you see the other stuff, and again, I don't want to make it sound like a commercial here because that's not my intention, but for those that do have the other stuff, when you see his other stuff trade its way out of, drawdowns and the intelligent hedging, the intelligent cost averaging, and you see, that negative $10.52 gets closed out with 3 trades that equal positive $10.52, and the trade closes out at 0. And you see that time after time after time, you know what goes on in this guy's head. Tim, he said it's going to be free to existing members. Yes, you saw that part, Mackenzie. I'm even afraid to say something like that in this group where everybody knows me pretty well. What was he talking about in reference to that? I know he says that about trading on Fridays, but it could be, Beryl. Like I said, I wouldn't say that, and it's going to be up to everybody. If it's out there and you want to try it in demo mode to get into a situation and see how it works its way out, I would still, myself personally, would still have a hard stop because I'm not going to go minus 50, with 2% to a 10 pip stop loss, and let it go minus 50, hoping, the intelligent trading trade management tool would erode the minus 50. So there'll have to be some, trader decided stop loss that just is an absolute cutoff. Oh yes, that's what it was, Theo. So okay, so I'm going to repeat his statement. It's a little off color, so if you want to mute your headset for 30 seconds or a minute, whatever, go ahead. I'm giving you a warning. So yeah, somebody was talking about how they should proceed with using a broker advance, and he said many times in the past, never, never, never take a broker advance. Just don't ever do it. And so again, the question came up today, and I guess he's been tired of answering it. And 30 minutes. And so somebody had said something about the broker advance, and the hostess of the call read the question, and he kind of just leaned back in his chair and he was rocking, and he'd say, I'd rather take a stapler and staple my scrotum to my leg before I take an advance from a broker. And I think Susan, who was the hostess, about lost it. I mean, she absolutely lost it. And I was laughing with tears in my eyes, not so much at what he said, but at her reaction to it as the hostess of the call with the video on her. And I mean, she had to put her head down on the desk and just, because it was just so out of the blue. It was absolutely out of the blue. Yeah. And it definitely was so funny. Yeah, did she ask him how he really felt? Anyway, that was, he warns everybody that his, she always asks him for a joke of the day or the joke of the week, and he always says, all my jokes are dirty. And so I guess he just blew that one out. She just, it was, and I mean, she got away from it for about 60 seconds, and then she came back and she just started cracking. It's like that viral video of the bride. What was that? When he was trying to repeat the vows or something, and he said, was it waffle wife or something like that? And she's there for about 10 seconds, and all of a sudden she throws her head back and just starts laughing hysterically, and then they can't stop her. I don't know if you've seen that, but it is very hilarious. So new brokers added to the scanner. FXCM, IC Markets, a lot of catering to down under IC Markets, Pepperstone, Octa FX, FX Pig, ICM. Yeah, I am too, Mackenzie. Funny bone, just can't stop laughing sometimes. Yeah, once seen can't be unseen. Once heard can't be unheard. You're right, Tim. Yeah, so pretty amazing. Lots of brokers being added. Sometimes the bigger the menu, the harder the choice. So obviously, from a teaching perspective, a lot of times students get freaked out when I'm identifying a wick and they don't have it on their chart because of their feed, or vice versa. They have the wick and I don't, or whatever. And I'll say here what I've said there many times in regards to trading, in regards to your broker feed, in regards to various data feeds hitting support and resistance or missing it by 2 pips versus a direct hit, etc. Trade what you have. Stay in your lane. Don't worry about what happens elsewhere. If you can't draw the pitchfork to make the touches that I have, then you can't. But you'll be able to draw a pitchfork sometimes that I can't, or it won't align perfectly and get the nice hits that I have, or I won't be able to draw it to get the nice hits that you have. So here's my belief on that. I haven't done the scientific analysis. The one and only so far released analysis. I'm doing another one on pitchfork bounces, but the only one I've released so far where I will stand by it as my study instead of my thinking or opinion is when I talk about when price comes from outside the 34 shadow band, goes through the 21, it has an 87% chance of hitting the EMA 62 on a 30-minute chart. So that I know because of the methodical way I tested that and looked at everything. But my guess is, so I'm saying disclaimer, this is not a statistic, but it's my guess based on what I've seen in my own volume of trading and that with a couple other people, is that by the end of the year, if you've both drawn 500 pitchforks and you look at alignments in terms of pip opportunity, whether you took them or not is another story, but as far as bounces and pip opportunity and those bounces, being confirmed by TAB29 convergences or retrace extremes or Clay's way, etc., then I think you'll probably be within 3 to 5% of pip total opportunity. So just stay in your lane. Do what you do. Draw the pitchforks you can. And if for some reason my feed that I use is different than your feed that you use, don't get all bent out of shape. Just keep drawing your forks, right? What time period, Clay? What data feed? Hold on. I can't even read my chart. And the other thing too is just like, it's all. My mouse got awfully spongy and sticky for some reason. over the weekend. Not sticky like something spilled on it, just in performance. So those who listen to the podcast, what should I not say right now with all these things that have happened that are bad and negative and just piss me off? Could it get any worse? Right. So don't do the self-talk in terms of law of attraction in that manner, because your crew will go to work to help you find a worse situation. Or why me? So why me, or can it get any worse? I'm just using that as an example, universe. I'm not really asking. I have to protect myself. Got to get some holy water from Courtney. Yeah, gotta bring clarity to it. Cover my bases. Well, here's something we could do. Hold on, let me see how many of them paint over. None? Oh, Clay, I got your disease. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So look at the bounce. Impulsive bounce. When it nails it, it hits it hard, right? Is there a change in time zone? As of last weekend, the U.S. is now on Eastern Daylight Time. Well, our time is now set at Eastern Daylight Time. So these are those moments where did you throw that on your Trader's Way, Clay? Just out of curiosity, or who else was looking at that? A couple of people had said the cat. Yeah, was that a 15-minute convergence or a 30-minute convergence? Yeah, sometimes the spread on the CAD can be pretty atrocious. So 15. Did anybody have that scan on their trading view? And here's what I want to look at. I should have taken a screenshot because yeah, the completion notification came in from Monabot, right? I thought I saw it on the corner of my screen. Yep. So the Telegram confirmation came in. Anyway, what I was trying to say is Try's been pretty, the vendor has been, provider has been kind of closed mouth. So maybe one of you who can sweet talk them, Clay, can Notice how that was the subtle advertising right there. You can talk to him. I've asked him once or twice, but sometimes his responses, it depends on what time of day and what else he's got going on. Sometimes they could be like a Steve Greger response, 5 paragraphs for a simple yes, no. And sometimes it's just yes, no, And I know for proprietary reasons, the TAB OCR group doesn't hear my disruptive TV unless you're there. So very often we draw these things on these scans called fitchporks. I know every time I say fitchporks, Mackenzie loves it. So we draw fitchporks. So that's kind of like to I can't even say it now that I'm trying to say it, proprietary with the T and the P inversed. But anyway. Yes. Does a Steve Greger response count as one of your 4 books in the month? Right, Josh? You're so funny. Y'all don't laugh at Josh's joke. Jesus. Yeah, but nobody laughed at it when you said it, Zoe. I say it, they all laugh. Not because it's any funnier. Clay, the problem is I can't, the question box is not Windows based, so I can't copy and paste from it. Yep. So play with this particular scan. There's some stuff going on with the forks. Anyway, what I was trying to get to is I've asked twice now at different times about this S&R system. As we're looking at it with this scan, I'm thinking I see more lines than I did when we were just looking at it with this scan. So I'm not sure, if that's just my vision or actually what happened. It is interesting that this, this little move out of the A over here comes back and creates this line or tags this line, and then look at this. I mean, so again, the power of harmonic wave convergence with any support and resistance system, and you never know which one's going to work, and that's why you rotate. That's why we built them as we did instead of being separate, not just for ease, but so you can literally toggle through the support and resistance systems to see if any particular thing is in compliance today. So those of you who are a little newer and haven't heard the cold compliance thing, compliance means if I have a support and resistance system, let's say something like cam lines, and I get 2 direct bounces off upper level cam lines, the H's, I might consider keeping the cam lines on the chart as price now moves down and is in the L range with the lower cam lines, because it's already had 2 hits on it that day. All right. Same thing with DP30. Same thing with Fibbo pivots. If it happens to be engaging that day, now the woo-woo on the charts, nobody is a real good, what the orbs are going to fly like today as far as which support and resistance system is going to be hot and mostly compliant today. It varies. There's been multiple days of the week where I felt the cam lines are just, man, this is it. It's the ultimate. They're so right on right now. And then on Wednesday, all of a sudden it switches, and now Fibbo pivots are the thing for the next 24, 48 hours. That's a good point, Tim. Thank you. So when you hear in the video, when I ask, I wonder if there's extra lines, since, you could go back and look in the video. That's great thinking, Tim. Thank you, Mr. Tim Packus. So here's a good question. Do we, Aussie. Pretty sure it was 8 in the first part. Yeah. I don't remember that one way at the top. Of course, I could have had it zoomed in enough that it was off screen. I really would. So look, here's a teaser for you guys who are hard into this stuff. No, it was the same pair. I refreshed. I went to the 30-minute and I came back to the 15-minute to kind of just seeing if. First of all, I wanted to see if any of those were painting on the 30-minute, but it was just a backhand way of refreshing the chart. So I went from the 30, came back to the 15. But for those of you who are using this scanner, and those of you who are technically inclined and like to do kind of that exploratory work, if you figure out what he's doing here, let me know, because we'll just copy it and put it in TradingView. I don't know that question, Manuel, Clay, Tim, others that have ongoing communication with Tri. Any chance for Hugo's way in the data feed. Well, it's got to be day based. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but maybe it's not. As you can see on this new scan, maybe he goes back specifically to the XA. I haven't put my numbers on it to figure out the Fibonacci. If he's using just straight Fibonacci, it's not really Fibo. Yeah. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. See, a lot of people, and it takes a programmer to do this, and unfortunately, a lot of the creative stuff I used to be able to do, and be very happy about, because I could make a lot of discoveries fast, was because IntelliCharts was so easy to program, and I learned it over the years, and that was one of my feet being shackled considerations in moving it from it to MotiveWave, was I can get an idea and 5 minutes later see it on the charts. So what I know people have done is taken support and resistance systems like FiboPivots, like Camarillo, and gone into what they consider a unique high and a unique low and called them like it was, for that moment, called them until that range gets broken. They call that the same way they would have the previous day high and the previous low, even though it's in the middle of the day. And even though there may be lows lower than that previous, just from that point on, but then, when you look at this, which lines are there from the former scans and which lines are here from the new scan? Obviously, he's got the X and the A on both of them. So that might tell us something right there. Is that true, Josh, or are you kind of being sarcastic? Yeah. So, because, um, there are levels of artificial intelligence, and I'm not a programmer of artificial intelligence, but I do know from all my reading, the same 3 levels appear. You've got your standard programming, which is just algorithmic, and then you have like level 1 artificial intelligence. Level 2 artificial intelligence is true machine learning, and level 3 is called deep learning. And in some of the stuff he said to me, I didn't know it was applicable to the support and resistance. But we've had discussions about his results as an example, because I was trying to find the exact formula for his results. And his results are all AI based. Yeah, no, I believe you. So, because he's used machine learning with me before as well. So it's a form of AI. It's a deeper form, second level in. But he's got to be doing something with the X and the A. There's no question that he's using the X and the A. And then what what he's using for machine learning. Maybe he's keeping stuff from going into the past, etc. So do you know, does anybody know? Hold on, Mackenzie, I'll go back and look. I'm sorry. It's scrolling pretty fast. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. Let me see here. That's a statement. Okay, so yeah, I was going to get to that right when I saw this, we reading on this scan. So let me ask one more question here about this support and resistance. So, again, for the people that pay close attention to this, because this could be a programming thing or an interpretation thing. So I guess the question I have is, are the lines, so the XA is there from the previous scan. We can see that. So he's using the X and the A. It might not be the X and the A. It could be just because that's the high and the low for that particular scan. So the question I have is, they're all the same color lines. And it would seemingly make sense if there are additional lines because of this new scan that they would be a different color. Maybe to signify that it's based on the more current data. But obviously a PSR is always a PSR, and so the ones that were there from the previous scan, remain on the chart. But I guess the question is there a longevity period for the scan, for the lines? Yeah, but what's previous? Because now we've got a set for the top, this line here. Where's my mouse? This line here and the very bottom line are based on the previous scan. This top line is also that same point, but the bottom line here wasn't there on the previous scan, I don't believe. So if that's new, and again, yeah, that's what we don't know. And that's why I've tried asking him, and when I've asked him directly, he's a little protective. And again, I don't blame him. It's a feature of the product, and all I know is, as price moves on, it does respect these lines quite frequently. It's an ancient Chinese secret. All right, so let me get to this TAB29 question because it's a good question. And then we'll wrap it up. I'm sorry it was this kind of day. I want to use it. I want to say it exactly. Yeah, I've seen that. It can be this, it can be that, but that doesn't. Um, I want to use your wording exactly, Mackenzie, and now I'm. Can I do it that way? Oh, I can. Wow. Duh. Hold on. I can sort it by person too. I didn't realize I can do that. All right. So the question is, do we still avoid impulsive moves like in bronze as far as 10-1 harmonic wave convergence? So interesting question because, we really don't have a silver status anymore. We kind of go from bronze 2 into, beginner tab 29. And so that's where some of that stuff used to be covered. Trying to think of the way I want to phrase this. Yes, that's the crux of it, Todd, is if you have an impulsive move and there's two kinds of impulsive moves. You got the impulsive move like you see on this chart from the middle where the big blue wick is touching the second support line up, and then it goes all the way up to the A. Or to the X. That would be, the no move as a green and bronze trader. All right. And so those are best to stay away from while you're learning. Now, here's the deal. Remember the 50,000 page document. Remember, I've built the training not just to teach the product, but to move your head game along the way, to reaffirm the positive things and to minimize the negative things. So the reason we don't want the bronze transitioning to brand new tab 29 trader just doing 10-1 convergences is because those have a tendency to slide. And by slide, I mean you're going to enter the trade and it's going to turn around and go against you instantly. And even though you're in a demo account, and even though you're supposed to have the mindset of not here to win, I'm here to learn, it's going to work on your psychology. And you're going to be sitting there going, I spent this money and I've spent this time already. And how am I ever going to trust live money on it when I just did exactly what I was supposed to do and I got stopped out? So, stay away from freaking snakes, SG. Yeah, in the old days when it was just multi-wave, we would say don't chase tops, don't chase bottoms. In other words, yes, we're all about capturing the reversal, but on a run like that, you could have 20 pips of difference between the first convergence and the second one. And what it's going to do to your psyche is you're going to sit there and go, how can I trust this? Because, it said enter and I did. And next thing you know, I'm 20 pips down. I got stopped out at -10 or whatever. It went so fast I couldn't even exit in slush. And so you're projecting future results on the piece of the system that you're trading now, which is a wrong thing to do. So you want to get in the habit of doing things and following the instruction because that's where it is in building your head game at that point in time. Hopefully that makes sense. Later on, you're going to be untaught, unlearned, some things you're going to unlearn so you can learn again. And so we also then have, impulsive moves such as in the channel. If I could draw, well, I'll use just the line tool, the trend line tool, because I do have that. You know, we essentially have a little channel here. And again, this isn't, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just, oh, nice. Drawing a little channel. Okay. So, you know, that's obviously an impulsive channel. And we say that why? Because it's very steep, right? Going from top down, because it's a downward move. Generally, we're looking at channels. Let's see if I can draw one from above where it was. Come on. And we can actually do this, right? So I'll just use that point, pretend like I'm there. And let me here, so right about there, coming down, from up here coming down, that's, that red line is 45-degree angle, all right, coming down. So obviously this channel that we have in yellow is much steeper than that. So generally the caution is between 30 and 45. This is steeper than that. So now what we say is the 30 to 45 is only for the newer folks that are bronze and early TAB29. Because as a live trader, I'm looking for this stuff where I could do sells into the buy, because the convergences are going to be at the bottom side. And so I would look for retrace extremes. I would, you know, good place and time to look at Clay's way. Good place and time when price is at or near a boundary like that to see if I have a 1 minute extreme. We don't trade 1 minute extremes by themselves. It's a circumstantial one here. It's at the top of the channel, etc. So, you know, as in this area here. And likewise, you know, if that blue line was already on the chart from the first scan, or we had it transferred to our trading view, we can see a little energy point there, kind of nice. So I could do a sell into the buy there, and as we say, as it goes down, it has to go east every time there's a new candle. And so it traverses, it traverses, it traverses, and we make big pip gain, you know, off of a tiny width channel because of that. So the sell into the buy would be an opportunity. And so the saying is, as Todd had quoted me earlier when I said impulsive moves, and he was referring to this kind of channel. And Todd, I'm, you know, probably not going to be able to find it now. I don't take a harmonic wave convergence unless I have pips in the hand. That's a Steve Greger quote as well that Todd was reminding me. So I'm not going to take that, this particular trade, I'm looking, I want to catch these convergences because at some point the bottom convergence is going to go big. Witness this move. So I want to take these as an insurance policy. But in terms of this particular channel, I have to see the channel as a downward channel, so I'm doing sells into the buy. I'm doing sells into the convergences. And what that does, Stephen, big blue. What that does is it gives me those pips before I try and take the convergence. So it's my pips in hand, pips in the bank before I try and take the convergence. And I fully expect to lose that convergence. That's kind of the way it is. I'm going to eat a -3, but I'm taking it because it might just be the one that goes. And so I'm doing the sell into the buy here to gather pips because I want to take the convergence just in case it goes. And so in this particular case, you take the convergence and it goes. Yes, you're always betting on this to be the channel breaker, the one that's going to just take off and go on you. In this case, it only took, 2 bounces, and the second one took off. The second one was the channel breaker. And what about the area of neutrality? What about the hedging reality? Again, Americans, you either get limited or you decide to say, I'll trade with a foreign broker and just pull money out now and then. But what ends up happening here is you're in the buy. I'm moving lines on the chart. And, you're going to get stopped out there. I prefer my graphics tool. Sorry. This is too hard for me. I'll bump it up even. So there was my sell stop loss. Okay. So it's just like I exited the trade down here. So what happens is, as this is moving back up, if I stayed in my buy, because that's this is the game you want to play in these steep channels. You want to stay in the buy and the sell. So I'm staying in my buy. I'm staying in my sell. I'm doing my buy. The buy makes up the pips I eroded in my sell. So by the time I get stopped out, it's just as if I had already exited down here and never entered the buy. I hope that makes sense mathematically. So I just made back all the pips I eroded off in my sell as it gets stopped out, and then I get to make the pips the rest of the way up. So it is the channel breaker, it is the stop loss trigger, but then I get to get those pips. Yeah, at least the lines are straight. That's a funny editorial on my tool. Yes. So this is a good example. So hopefully that makes sense, Mackenzie. All right. So, but in terms of a bronze trader, once we're down in this range, typically the bronze trader is not considering this harmonic wave converge because everybody's going to tell you that channel's too steep, it's impulsive, and you don't want to take these because they tend to slide. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And here we had two cases where it was just a hard hit and it bounces. Well, that trend line isn't really drawn very well, but but a lot of times they slide. So I would take it as a further along TAB29 trader, because now I know, as Todd quoted, I could take it if I have pips in the bank from my sell into the buy, which is the stronger trade in the channel, in the steep channel. All right, well, look, I'm going to call it a day. I know we had a lot of chit chat today, and I'm sorry about that, because my charts are on the big monitor, and I'm not going to. The only way I can get to them actually is to close them out, and I don't want to close it out as it is, and then restart them on another monitor. So we had a little fun. I'll keep you posted on Courtney's orbs. We'll check Dave to make sure he's not limping too hard with the staples in his leg. And we got some homework assignments here in terms of trying to figure out the support and resistance system. And there we go. Alrighty then. So I'm going to shut it off. Remember, life can be short, guys, and sometimes even shorter than that. And so for the people who care and love, let them know you care and love them. I love you guys for carving out time and being here despite my silliness today. Drop on by Disruptors TV tonight, 1700, and Wednesday night, 1700, and the Trader's Mindset Mastery podcast somewhere between Thursday and Friday in the week, announced in the Scans, Forks, and Fibos group. Y'all take care.